Oh my god! Don't bend over in there. Ah! No, I hate this. But also, that's the thumbnail.
Wonder how high I could stack these.
I'll never let you find out.
I know you won't. You. Let me have fun.
I'm just like a cat. Also, chat has asked, what is everybody's biggest fear in the realm of creepy stuff and paranormal? And I think that's a pretty good question.
I would say a blanket everything, but if there's one that probably terrifies me the absolute utmost, I would have to say, like, demons. Like, I don't get me wrong. So, like, with me, I've said this before, I don't play with Ouija boards, I don't do anything like that because I believe what's dead should stay dead. Now, I don't necessarily believe that they, like, ghosts and that stuff exists, but I don't want to find out if it does, because obviously whatever you bring back or talk to is probably not something good. But that being said, I think, like, the idea of demons scares me the most out of anything.
I think that's fair. I definitely believe there are things that exist in and within the realm of our world that we do not understand and will never be able to explain within whatever brief period of time humanity has left on this world is. I don't really believe in ghosts. I don't really believe in an afterlife. I think once you're dead, and you just kind of return to obscure, which correlates with really what makes sense and also what every person who's died and been brought back to life has said. I think that's the part that creeps me out, because I don't think they're ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in demons. What like, in a biblical sense. In a spiritual sense, rather. So, really what my bigger fear is more of, like, what are they, then? What are these things that we have literally no comprehension of?
For me, like, the whole, like, I used to watch Supernatural. I know you said that's the poor man's Buffy.
It is.
But, like, thinking of things like that, how they're, like, you know, the Wendigos, or, like, vampires, or, like, ghosts, and that kind of stuff. Like, I don't believe any of those exist. I don't believe werewolves exist. I like the whole, you know, like, vampires. Like, I like the whole nuanced romance that comes with vampires. But, like, what I believe, if there was ever going to be something, it would be some sort of apparition. But the thing is, I'm also the kind of person that thinks that I need to see proof. I can't just go on faith, or can't go off of someone else's thing alone. That's why, like, when I always say religion is just a crock to me. Like, but, like, the whole notion of this, how you have to believe something, like, I don't. Because I've never seen it, I've never felt it. So I apply the same mentality with, you know, these supernatural things. I've never seen it, therefore it doesn't exist to me. But I'm not going to go around messing around with it trying to find one.
Yeah, that's literally the definition of fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to be like my whole life, man, ghosts don't exist. And then I go into a haunted mansion or a haunted prison, and all of a sudden just get murdered because I decided to dick around. Like, no.
Yeah, no, like, the horror movie trope of, you know, skeptic getting the shit scared out of them. I just want to say this, like, I have a firm belief that there could be something, like, paranormal due to how many people claiming it in their lifetimes. But to the point of, I just don't want to fuck around with it, because I don't want to be the guy who has a Wikipedia page based on their bizarre death.
Yeah, again, like, I've had several experiences that could be labeled as paranormal or, like, ghostly, and, like, do I think that these things were apparitions of the previously living? No. Do I think that they were things that happened that I can't exactly explain? Yes.
Pretty creepy, honestly. Okay, can I tell you guys a ghost story? Actually, that happened to my dad.
Yeah, real quick, though. The traditional idea of werewolves is from Greek myth. Zeus said these guys are assholes, made them doggies. Yeah, that tracks.
If Zeus wasn't trying to fuck you, he was trying to fuck around with you. That's literally the entirety of Greek mythology.
He either fucked you or turned you into a dog. It was those two things.
It's like,
or he turned you into a dog and then
okay, so my father works for the largest ambulance company in our state.
Mm-hmm.
This happened maybe like 25 years ago, so mid 90s around there.
Yeah.
So Dad was there, and there was these two Spanish guys, and they both could speak English.
Okay.
There was a language barrier, and one dude was sitting outside his house, and he had 3 huge cuts across his chest, like right down, almost like kind of like how Sagat has like the scar.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Like it looked like something just like a bear just clawed him. And he's just sitting there, and he's like murmuring something in Spanish, and my dad can't understand him. So he calls for his partner, who's a couple of blocks away. He's like, hey, listen, we got a language barrier here. I need this guy's very shaken up. He's got a severe injury on his chest. I don't know what's going on. So my father's, looking around in the house to see, okay, what could have happened in here that attacked? Like, was there a domestic dispute? And he went inside with the cops. Because, medics are actually not allowed on the scene of anything unless the scene is secure. That's actually a fact that I don't think a lot of people who are not in, that kind of field know.
I didn't know that, no.
Anyway, back to the point of the story. My dad went in with his cop friend, and they're looking around in the basement because there's blood on the staircase. He's like, well, whatever happened here, this is where he got attacked. So my dad is standing there, and his partner shows up, and he's, they're talking in Spanish back and forth with the guy, and, he's saying stuff, they're just talking back and forth. And his partner finally gets around to it, and he tells him, hey, what happened? And he says something, and he turns to my father, and he said, hey, listen, you may want to get out from the basement. Why? Because this guy's claiming something that was made out of fire jumped out of their furnace and attacked them.
Made of fire.
Made of fire.
Wild.
Yeah. I actually have a few more stories. Actually, one that happened in my house.
Ooh.
So this happened. My grandfather died young. He was in his 40s. He had a massive heart attack in his room upstairs.
Sorry about that.
And I never got to know him. But this happened maybe like a year or two after he passed away. My dad was cleaning out our attic, and my grandfather was a hoarder. Well, not a hoarder. He was an antiquer. He liked to go out and buy antiques, and he would keep them in our attic. Our attic is filled with stuff like that. But he was up there with my cousin, and they were talking about my grandpa because he had just passed away maybe like a year or two earlier. And my grandfather had this metallic cake topper, which was like a Mickey Mouse carousel. And you would have to spin it with your finger, and it makes the toys they used to do, the sparks and stuff, like the guns and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. But
Okay.
It was like a Cape Top carousel thing with Mickey Mouse on it. And as soon as they were talking about my grandfather, it started twirling.
Oh, that's weird. So I actually had something similar where my grandmother had owned one of the. It wasn't like a carousel. It was one of the wind-up music boxes, though. And every now and then, when we were in the basement where she had lived the last couple of years of her life, if we had talked about her, it would start just going off.
Oh, that's so odd.
So many years ago, we had a bunch of people over at what was my parents' house at the time, which is the house I grew up in, which was my grandparents' house.
Tell the story now. Use this.
So I had a couple people over, and it was just me. My parents were out of town. My oldest sister was still living in Peru at the time, and we were all out in my backyard, sitting, drinking, hanging out. And at one point, Bird comes up to me and he goes, "Oh, I didn't know that Jackie, my other sister," he's like, "I didn't know Jackie was home." And I was like, "She's not." And he just goes, "Oh, then who's in your basement?" And I was like, Nobody. We're all out. Everybody's out here. He goes, oh, because somebody just looked out the window and waved at me.
Fuck. Fuck
Yeah.
that.